Hi. Hello. Hey guys. What's up, Katie? Glad you could join. Hey, OCD Stig. How's it going? You are a driving god. Are you driving right now? Joshua. What's up, Joshua? Hey, Hope. How's it going? Wing Chun. What's up, Wing Chun? We are the Lin family. Can we nip that in the bud? Lin family? It sounds a little. I don't know, guys. How about Lin fam? I think I like that better. I don't know. Lin fam seems better than Lin family. Hey, Bigfoot. How's it going? What's up, Dan? Nice of you to join. Hey, Losh. Half the time you fall asleep. I hope you're not driving. What's up, Nikki? Hey. So that's what I look like? That is what I look like. Hope you're not disappointed. What's up, little weeb? Toho. First live here, so you're impatient to see what it does. Well, I don't know. I don't think you're gonna get it. We're reading a book. We're reading a novel, and you're like right in the middle of it. So I don't know what you're gonna get from this stream. Hey, Logan. Can I tell you a scary fact? Sure, Toho. Scary fact. Are you ready? Are you ready? There's a ghost behind you right now. Yep. That's a scary fact. What's up, Sativa? All right, you know what? Let's get started. No, let's not get started. Wordle. We gotta do our Wordle, okay? All right, not looking at chat. Someone time me. Someone time me. It's 6:06. All right. It's gonna take 2 minutes at the most. 2 minutes. Start with stomp. Okay, good start. Good start. Got an S. Okay. Bad start. Bad start. Let's see. I think I usually go with candy for the third one. Oof. Not good. This is not good. Skra. Okay. We need more consonants. More consonants with an A. We got G and H. Gassed. Is that a word? No. See, we don't want ST. Gack. Hack. Whack. 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 Okay. Okay. Whack. Shack. Shack. Shag. Or shags. Well, we know SHA. We're still short on consonants. Shaft. No, no T. Shave. No E. Shafe. Shall. Shall. Wasn't there a shall before? There was a shall a couple of days ago, right? Or am I wrong? Oof. Not good. We gotta eliminate consonants, guys. Oh, we can't do it. We gotta eliminate. What else is there? Shall. Shaft. Shacks. Shack. Shall. Shage. It has to be shall, right? Oh, but that's dangerous. You gotta use this to guess other consonants. Okay. What's a word that contains an L, but another couple of consonants too? Oh, it's a W. It's a W. Wait. SHAW. Or W. It's not shawl? Shawl? It has to be, right? Shawl. What else can it be? This is dangerous. Shawl, shad, shog, shall, shawl. That's the only thing, right? No? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good job, guys. Good job. Shan't? No, it can't be shan't. We had N. What time is it over here? It took 4 minutes. All right. 4 minutes. Not bad. Not bad. He totally forgot the W. Shut up. Oh, do you guys know? All right. This is a word, all right. Do you guys know what semantal is? All right. Hopefully you don't know. So we can do it together. All right. This is semantal. All right. So you got to guess the word. Okay. But the thing is, you guess by the meaning instead of the letters. Okay. So if the meaning is close to the actual word, then it'll tell you. Want to do it? Let's do it. So we start by just saying a bunch of words, okay? Host. Guess. Hotel. Government. See, he's telling you the similarity scores. We need to get as much as possible. Get this as high as possible. Rock. Jump. Okay, it's getting up there. So jump is a little closer. All right. I don't know. Democracy. Nope. Country. Hug. Love. Fly. Power. Pose. All right, keep the guess. Ancestor. High. Sky. Ocean. Computer. This is pretty hard. This can get really long. I've played this before. Run. Go. Jump. Wait. Forward. Eat. What is it, guys? What is it? Advance? Nope. Leap? Nope. Obtain? Nope. Keyboard. Alright. Halo. Oof. Planet. We're nowhere close. Not even close. March. Nope. Hell. Heaven. Heaven. Seek. Phone. Oh, guys. Hover? I don't think it has anything to do with like that kind, like jump or high. This is high in similarity, but it's not that high. It's pretty low actually. Did I say seek? Word. Oh, we're not doing so well. Optimism. Oh, no. Above? Ooh. Space. War. Peace. Puzzle. Vocabulary. No. Carbon? Alright, keep it going. Disassemble. Wait, yeah. Disassemble. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Not even close. What the hell is Tangrism? Real words, guys. Real words. 1,000. Scared. Throw? Okay, a little bit higher. Far. Passion. What do you throw? What do you throw? What do you throw? Rock. See, we did that. Javelin. Oh! Wait a minute. That's very close. If it gets to 1,000, then it's the word, okay? Alright, javelin. Javelin. Things that you throw. How about stick? Spear. How about bow and arrow? Bow, arrow. Maybe the Olympics. What is that thing? Shot put? Shot put. Nope. Hands. Pilum? Oh, it doesn't even know that word. Joust. Okay, joust. Catapult. Come on, guys. What is javelin? Disc. Projectile. Lance. Football. Oh! Who said football? Casey. Good job. Almost there. Okay. Kinds of ball, right? How about baseball? A little bit less. Maybe just ball. Sport. Football, baseball, soccer. Oh, so close. Just keep basketball. Ugh. Very close. Basket. Basketball. Tennis. Racket. Raquet. How do you spell racket? Do we do rugby? Ooh, close. Close. What else? Badminton? Guys, it's so close. Basketball, football, baseball. What other sports are there? Boxing? No, it can be. It's something with a ball. Volleyball? Close. Close. Cricket? Ooh. Basketball. Goal. Nope, nope, nope. Baseball, hockey. Older. Maybe not a ball. Okay, maybe like a net. Uh, no, maybe it is a ball. Goal. Score. No, no, it's some sport, I think. Dodgeball? Softball. Oh, so close. So close. Basketball, softball. Is there no, what's another sport? Martial arts. MMA. Puck. Track. Okay. Golf. Okay. Baseball, football, basketball. Those are the three biggest ones, right? What else is there? Frisbee. Swimming. Okay. Field. Okay, okay. Baseball, we already have that. Catch. Stadium. Seat. Oh, come on. It's so close. It's so close. Bowling. Catch. Pool. Billiards. Guys. Lacrosse. So close. Soccer, we already have soccer. Court. Net. Can't be throw. It's some sport. It's or something within a sport. Stick. I think we did stick already. We did net. What else? Maybe just sports. Oh. Game. Tournament. Competition. No, it's a sport. I think we have tennis. We have tennis. Pickleball. I think that's too obscure. What is this? Oh, you found a really unusual word. Good job. Wrestling? Wrestling? Maybe? Okay, martial arts. Taekwondo. Judo. No, it's not a martial art. Compete? Compete. Ping pong? Basketball? Oh, Super Bowl! No. Championship. Oh god, what is this? Fencing? Fencing? Let's try fencing. Team. Oh my god. This is gonna take forever. Match. What is this stupid word? Guys. All our minds combined. We must be able to get this. We must. Oh, NFL, maybe NFL. NFL. Also an unusual word. Huh. No, it's some sport. It must be, or something in a sport, or sports in general. We tried Olympics. Maybe capitalized. No, it doesn't work. Match round training. Did we try ball? Tried it. What is this? Oh, player. Player. Overtime, maybe. Curling. Guys. I think we did water polo, I believe. Try it again. We didn't. League. Oh, so close. Handball. All right, let's try handball. All right, big brain people, come on, help. Teammate. Oh God, that's good. Time. No. Sportsmanship. Close. Sportsmanship. Playing. Playing. Play. We did golf. Cross country. Oh no. Pitch. Home run. Home run. Bat. Batter. Guard. Advance. Oh my God. Quarterback. Lineman. No, see, it's some sport, right? Trophy. Opponent. Oh my God. Shot. Archery. Teamwork. Oh, good guess. Guard. We power forward. Power. Fans. Oh God. Did we do stadium? We did stadium. Shoot. Compete. I think we did that. Oh my God. Goalie. Oh, goalie. How do you spell goalie? Goalie. Umpire. Okay, umpire. Arena. Good job. Arena. Catcher. How long is it? You guys. Walk. Replay. Game. Sports. Football. Basketball. Baseball. Referee. Maybe adjectives, or positions. Maybe try adjectives or verbs. Athletic. Ah, oh, we got it. Adjectives. Who was it? Malik. Good job, Malik. MVP. We were gonna go on forever until you came along. Wow. How many guesses was that? 148. Basketball, really? Good job, chat. Good job. I don't know how to reward you, but good job. Alright, alright. For fuck's sake. I don't know what this is. It looks like savory, right? Or it could be sweet. What do you think? Looks like some savory snack. Rice cakes? Ooh. Ooh. Mmm. 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 Tastes like rice cakes with soy sauce. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. Literally, it tastes like they took some rice cakes and they just poured soy sauce all over it. Why is basketball closer to athletic than football? Listen, I don't know. Okay, it's the algorithm they used. Out of 10? 7 out of 10. Speaking of soy sauce, okay, what do you guys eat? Let's say you had sunny side up eggs. What do you eat it with? Do you just eat it plain? Do you put sauce over it? Do you put salt? Do you put pepper? Do you put hot sauce on it? Okay. If you haven't tried it, put fucking soy sauce on it. It's amazing. All right. I've been eating it like that since I was a kid. Soy sauce on eggs. It's heavenly. I don't know why, like whenever I go to a like a diner or a brunch place and I order eggs, I always miss the soy sauce. They should have like soy sauce in those places. You put it on rice? No. Well, yeah, you put it on rice. But if you just had the eggs alone, I'm making you hungry. You're welcome. What is my favorite soy sauce? What do I get? What is my soy sauce? Wait, let me check. It's this one. Maggie. You guys know it? I think it's in American stores too. Yeah, but it's in all the Asian stores. Not stores. All the Asian supermarkets. Soy sauce on every table. True. All right. Hold on. That's a good brand. I've always gotten that brand. It's pretty good. That's the one you use? Hell yeah. Yeah, so put that on eggs. Like on a sunny side up eggs and eat it with that. Oh, amazing. Amazing. Soy sauce. Do I like soy sauce better or the fish sauce, the Vietnamese fish sauce? Do you know what that is? The nước mắm? Let me show you. Okay, a lot of people, a lot of white people cannot eat this, but it's Vietnamese fish sauce. Yeah. Now, do I like this more or do I like soy sauce more? I certainly eat soy sauce more. I do eat soy sauce more. But this is really good too. It's hard to pick. I think they're both equal. They go with the different dishes. A lot of Vietnamese dishes require this. Yeah. You can mix it however you want. You can put you put peppers in it. Yeah, it's really good. Do I prefer sweet or saltier soy sauce? Um, Probably a little bit. I don't know. Probably salty. Maggi is pretty salty, right? Yeah, probably like Maggi level. Right? But some dishes taste really good with the sweet soy sauce. I don't know what you call. What do you call the in Chinese is ha chuan fan, something like that. Um, Vietnamese is bun bun. So you eat this with the sweet soy, no, with the sweet soy sauce. It's really good. Yeah. All right. Anyways, now that that's out of the way. All right. What happened? What happened last week in our last chapter? So in our last chapter, our hero Duan Yu is sentenced to a life of gardening by Madame Wang. Okay, she forced him to care for her camellia flowers. All right, for how long? I don't know. I guess for life. But yeah, so he's stuck there, taking care of her flowers. But then he's fine with it because he gets to meet the girl that with the he gets to meet that girl with the sweet ass voice that he fell in love with before. Um, he meets her. Her name is Wang Yuyan, and she is the daughter of Madame Wang, and she looks just like that jade statue that he saw in the cave, right? So he's like, so at first he fell in love with her voice, and now he sees her, and she's beautiful, right? She's like, just like that statue that he saw in the cave. So that he was already in love with. So now it's the real thing. Um, so he talks to her, right? Shooting his shot, and so in the course of the conversation, he finds out that she's in love with her cousin Mu Rongfu, who is the young master of the Mu Rong family. All right. So yeah, so they're talking. Um, as they're talking, a servant comes and tells them that Madame Wang ordered the right hands of Aju and Abi to be chopped off. Right now, they're her cousin's servants. So Wang Yuyan wants to save them, so she goes to Madame Wang to tell her to stop, but she doesn't. So Wang Yuyan leaves, and then Duan Yu convinces her to save Aju and Abi, and they do. They go in. They had to fight with this wicked old lady, and they free Aju and Abi. And in the course, and afterwards, the wicked old lady tells them something. Okay, now, I got this wrong last time, but and Losh straightened me out. But so it looks like Madame Wang, um, Madame Wang. It seems like Madame Wang did sleep with Duan Yu's father. All right, and it seems like Wang Yuyan is their illegitimate child. So meaning that Wang Yuyan is Duan Yu's half sister. Okay, that seems to be the case, according to what the wicked old lady mentioned. So So it looks like he is in love with Wang Yuyan, and she is his half sister. Okay, I think that's the prevailing theory at the moment. All right, and that's why she hates the Murongfu's mother. Okay, they have this rivalry. Yeah, because she accused Madame Wong of having an illegitimate child. You called it, Claire? You called it? Okay. Yeah, and that's the recap. That's what happened last week, right? How's that? So you're right. So he fell in love with two people, kind of, all right? And they turned out to be his half sister. And now he falls in love with a third person, and she also turns out to be his half sister. He doesn't know it. Okay, this one he doesn't know. He knows the other two, but this one he has no idea. So yeah, so that's our story. Poor Don Yu can't catch a break. True. All right, guys. Chapter 13. Well, that's a long title. Listening to the lady in the waterside pavilion, watching her advise the gathered heroes. We all knew. You all knew. The boat drew closer and closer to the shore. Suddenly, Aju said in a low voice, Abi, look, this doesn't seem right. Abi nodded. Right. Why are there so many lanterns lit? She let out two quiet laughs, then said, Sister Aju, is your home celebrating the Lantern Festival? There's so many bright lanterns and lamps. Maybe it's a birthday party for you. Aju remained silent, eyes transfixed on those bright lights. From far away, Duan Yu could see 8 or 9 buildings on the islet. 2 of those buildings were 2-storied buildings. There was light emanating from the windows of every building. He thought to himself, as Achu's home is known as the Waterside Pavilion of Fragrant Sounds, I imagine it should be much similar to Abi's Pavilion of Zither Melodies. The reason there are so many lights here is no doubt because Sister Aju likes to keep things noisy and lively. When the boat came within 1 li of the shore, Aju halted her oar and said, Miss Wang, enemies have come to my home. Wang Yuyan was startled. What? Enemies have come? How do you know? Who are they? Aju replied, I don't know who they are exactly, but take a whiff. The smell of alcohol reeks to high heaven. It must be that wicked visitors are causing trouble here. Wang Yuyan and Abi both sniffed hard, but neither could notice any scent. Duan Yu, in turn, was attenuated to the scent of maidens, but otherwise was normal and had no special smelling abilities. He's very in tune with the scent of maidens. Aju's nose was extremely sensitive. She said, oh no, they've destroyed my jasmine nectar and my rose nectar. They've even ruined my winter plum nectar. At this point, it seemed as though she was about to cry. Duan Yu was astonished. Are your eyes so keen that you've seen them? Sobbing, Aju choked up. No, I smelled them. It took me a lot of care and effort to distill those nectars. These evil visitors must have taken them for alcohol and drank them. Abi said, Sister Aju, what should we do? Should we avoid them or should we go and fight? Aju said, I don't know if the opponents are very powerful. Duan Yu said, Right, if the enemies are very powerful, the best choice would be for us to avoid them. If they are just ordinary characters, it would be best for us to go teach them a lesson and prevent Sister Aju's precious treasures from being ruined even more. Aju was feeling very unhappy. Now, listening to Duan Yu's pointless speech, she replied, Avoid the strong, bully the weak. Who doesn't understand this logic? But how do you know if the opponent is very powerful or just ordinary? Duan Yu opened his mouth to respond, but had no idea what to say. All right, so someone or some people are in their homes. Are they good or bad? Are they powerful or weak? Aju said, "Let's go take a closer look and find out. However, all of us need to change our clothes and dress up as aged fishermen and old ladies." Pointing to the east, she said, "An old fisherman and his wife live there. They both know me. Let's go borrow their clothes." Clapping his hands, Duan Yu laughed. "Wonderful, wonderful." With a tug of the oar, Aju sent the boat eastward. When she thought about putting on new disguises, her spirit was instantly invigorated, and she no longer was too distraught about enemies having come to her home. Aju first disguised herself. Aju first disguised herself, Wang Yuyan, and Abi. She disguised herself as an old fishwife and turned Wang Yuyan and Abi into middle-aged fishwives. Lastly, she began to work on Duan Yu, changing him into a 40-year-old fisherman. Aju's disguising skills were truly matchless and incomparably wondrous. She obtained some flour and some mud, then spread a little here and pasted a little there. In the blink of an eye, everyone's appearances totally changed. Next, she borrowed a fishing boat, a fishing net, fishing pole, some living fish, and the like, before paddling the boat towards the waterside pavilion of fragrant sounds. Although Wang Yuyan, and Abi's appearances had been changed, their voices remained the same. It was the weak point in their disguise. Even if they had years, they wouldn't be able to master Aju's skills in disguise. Wang Yuyan laughed. "Aju, if anything happens, you'll have to take the lead in dealing with it. We'll just have to pretend to be mute." Aju laughed. "All right, I promise to keep you from being exposed." The fishing boat slowly glided towards the back of the pavilion. Duan Yu saw that weeping willows grew all around the pavilion, but bursts of loud, uncouth yelling sounds continuously emanated from within the building. Such wild shouts and screams were totally at odds with the quiet, ingenious, and tasteful layout of the building and the surrounding plants. Aju let out another sigh. She was totally unhappy. Abi whispered into her ear, "Sister, Aju, after we chase the enemies away, I'll come help you fix the place up." Aju squeezed her hand to show her thanks. The four of them entered the kitchen from the rear. The chef, old Gu, was so busy that his head was covered in sweat. He was unceasingly spitting his saliva into the boiling cauldron, then rubbing his dirty hands together and causing the mud and the dirt on his hands to fall into the cauldron as well. So this is what people do behind the restaurant, right? Aju was half amused, half angry. She called out, "Old Gu, what are you doing?" Old Gu was so startled, he jumped. Frightened, he said, You. Aju laughed. "I am Miss Aju." Old Gu was overjoyed. "Miss Aju, a lot of bad men came. They forced me to cook dishes and broil vegetables for them. Watch." As he spoke, he blew his nose and dripped his snot into the middle of the vegetables, then began to laugh. Guys, a little too much, old Gu. Jake! Thank you, Jake. You're so generous. Thank you so much. I got a Baksu box and showed it with my fellow employees. I hope I don't become a hungry ghost. I hope you don't either. Thanks, Jake. And I hope you like the Baksu. It's really good. Aju wrinkled her forehead. You cooked such nasty dishes." Old Gu hurriedly said, "Miss, when I cook for you, I wash my hands clean before I do anything else. But when I am forced to cook for scoundrels, I'll make the dishes as disgusting as possible." Aju said, "The next time I see food which you have cooked, I'll think of this and be nauseated." Old Gu said, No, that's different. That's totally different." Although Aju was a servant to young Master Mu Rong, she was the master of the waterside pavilion of fragrant sounds. She had her own servant, chef, boatman, gardener, and other subordinates. Aju asked, "How many enemies are there?" Olgu said, first came a gang of around 18 or 19 people. Then came a second gang of around 20. Aju said, there's two separate groups? What type of people are they? How are they dressed? Judging from their accents, where are they from? Lao Gu cursed. I think Lao means old, right? Lao Gu cursed. Fuck their mothers. As soon as the vulgarity left his mouth, he hurriedly covered his lips with his hands, a look of terror on his face. He said, Miss Aju, Old Gu deserves to die. I'm so angry I've gone stupid. One of the two groups of bad men consists of rough fellows from the north. They look like bandits. The second group comes from Sichuan. They all wear white gowns, but I don't know where they are from. Aju said, who are they looking for? Have they hurt anyone? Old Gu said, the first group of bandits came looking for the old master. The second group of weirdos came looking for the young master. We told them that the old master had passed away, and that the young master wasn't at home. They didn't believe us, and ransacked the place searching for him. The servant girls have all run away already. I'm the only one who stayed, because I was too pissed. He was just about to curse again, but just as the vulgarity began to escape his lips, he managed to retract it in time. Aju saw that his left eye was blackened, and half of his face was heavily swollen. He must have taken a few nasty blows. She no longer blamed him for taking out his resentment on the dishes by spitting and blowing his nose into them. Never piss off the chef. Truth. All the Sichuan people in Jin Yong's books are villains? Why? Is there a reason? Aju muttered to herself, we need to check it out ourselves. Old Gu wasn't able to make things clear. The four of them left the kitchen from a side entrance. They passed by a jasmine flower terrace and two jade cavern gates before arriving outside the flower pavilion. They were still a number of meters away from the window, but could already hear an uproar from within the building. So there are two groups, right? Two groups of bandits or whoever. Aju quietly snuck to the window, then used her fingernail to poke a hole in the paper window screen. She peeped into the crack. The inside of the main hall was very bright, but only the lanterns on the east side had been lit. There, 18 or 19 coarse and burly men were having a little party. The tables were covered with dinner dishes and cups, and the chairs were scattered across the floor. A few people were sitting on the tables. Others were holding chicken drumsticks or pig feet in their hands and chomping away happily. Ew, pig feet. Do you guys like pig feet? Not a fan. Others brandished their sabers, chopping the meat on the dishes with them, and then spearing the meat with the tips of their weapons before delivering the meat into their mouths. Aju glanced towards the east side of the room. At first, she didn't notice anything, but after having a few more glances, she couldn't help but feel cold as goosebumps appeared on her flesh. More than 20 or so men dressed in white gowns sat there solemnly. They lit a single candle on the table in front of them. Okay, so one group is like really nasty, chaotic people. And it seems like the other group is more calm. And they dressed in white gowns. They lit a single candle on the table in front of them. The candlelight did not spread more than a few feet in circumference. She saw that the 7 or so people closest to the candlelight had frozen looks on their faces, displaying neither happiness nor anger, as though they were but corpses. The entire time, those people sat there without speaking or moving. If it weren't for the fact that a few of them would blink every so often, she really might have taken them all for dead. Sneaking forward as well, Abi grasped Aju's hand. Aju's hand was icy cold and quivering as well. Abi immediately poked a second hole in the window to take a look for herself. She peered directly into the gaze of a yellow, sallow-faced individual, and their eyes met. That person who seemed half dead, half living, stared at her. Startled, Abi couldn't help but let out a quiet cry. With a pair of slamming sounds, the 2 windows were shattered. 4 people jumped out of the windows simultaneously. 2 of them were northerners, with the other 2 being the weirdos from Sichuan. They shouted in unison, "Who are you?" Jake! Again! Oh my god, thank you so much. How did you escape from the realm? Ain't you a hungry ghost? You know what? Hungry ghosts can escape from the hungry ghost realm, remember? Hungry ghosts can go in all the other realms, I think. Or at the realms above them. They're just invisible, right? The hungry ghosts can be walking around in our realm, the human realm, and we'll be fine. We just can't see them. You're curious on what substance the candle would have been made of? I'm thinking wax, right? No? Some kind of wax? Oh, okay. They're discovered. Aju replied, "We caught a number of fresh fish and came to ask if old Gu wanted them or not." Wait, is she... Oh, she's dressed as a fishwife. "We caught a number of fresh fish and came to ask if old Gu wanted them or not. The shrimp we have is still living and jumping about." The words she spoke were of the native Suzhou dialect. The 4 men initially did not understand, but seeing as how the 4 of them were dressed in fishermen's garbs and carrying live fish and shrimp, they figured out what Aju was saying. One of the men snatched a fish away from Aju, then shouted loudly, "Cook! Cook! Take this and go make some broth for us to drink and to help dilute the alcohol." The other northerner reached out for the fresh fish Duan Yu was holding. Seeing that they were fish sellers, the 2 Sichuanese men paid them no more mind. They returned to their seats. When the 2 passed by her, Abi smelled a heavy masculine musk and couldn't resist stretching her hand out to cover her nose. One of the Sichuanese men shot her a glance and saw that when she covered her nose, her arms slid out of her sleeves slightly, revealing skin that was as white as snow and as tender and smooth as rouge. Instantly, he became highly suspicious. How could a middle-aged fishwife have such white and tender skin? With a backhand, he grabbed Abi by the wrist and asked, "God damn it, how old are you?" Startled, Abi wrested away from his grasp. "What are you doing, yeah? Touching people like that?" Her voice was soft, tender, clear, and melodious, and her movements were nimble and dexterous. The Sichuanese man only felt that his arm suddenly went numb, and with a stagger, he crashed out of the room. Now their secret had been totally revealed. As the 4 men outside of the building cried out at the same time, 10 more people exited the room, fully surrounding Duan Yu and the others. One of the men reached for Duan Yu's beard, tearing it off. Another man tried to grab Abi, but she dodged and gave him a shove, knocking him to the floor instead. The men began to loudly roar, "Spy! It's a spy! They are crooks in disguise! Hang them up and flog them!" They pressed the 4 of them into the room, then reported to an old man who sat at the east side. "Stronghold Master Yao, we captured 2 spies in disguise." The old man had a large, imposing build, with a gray beard that stretched to the pit of his stomach. He shouted, "Spies? Who sent you? Sneaking around and disguising yourselves? What foul deeds are you plotting?" Wang Yuyan said, "It isn't any fun dressing up as an old lady. Aju and Abi, I'm not going to maintain the disguise anymore." As she spoke, she stretched her hand out and rubbed the mud away from her face. The mud and flour fell away, taking her wrinkles with them. Before their awestruck, gaping eyes, the men watched as a middle-aged fishwife was suddenly transformed into a maiden of unsurpassing beauty. In the blink of an eye, silence reigned, and not even a whisper could be heard. The Sichuanese people to the west also had their eyes glued onto her. Wang Yuyan said, "All of you, remove your disguises as well." She laughed towards Abi. "It's all your fault. You revealed our secret." Aju, Abi, and Duanyu immediately rubbed away the mud and flour from their faces as well. Everyone stared at Wang Yuyan, then at Aju and Abi. None of them could believe that there were such beautiful women in the world, who looked as though they had been chiseled from pure white jade. After a long moment, that large old man said, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" Aju laughed. "I'm the master of this place. Isn't it a bit odd for outsiders to ask me what I am doing here? Who are you? What are you doing here?" The old man nodded. "Right. So you are the master of this place. Wonderful. You are the young miss of the Murong family. Murong Bo is your daddy, then?" Aju smiled. "I'm just a servant. How could I have the fortune of being the old master's daughter? Sir, who might you be? What business have you here?" The old man heard that old man heard her say she was but a servant girl, but did not immediately believe her. He muttered to himself for a while before saying, "Please invite your master to come, and I will tell him the purpose of this visit." Aju replied, "Our old master has passed away. The young master is out on a journey. Sir, what important task do you have here? Just tell us. Can it be that you cannot even reveal your name to us?" The old man said, "Fine. I am Yao Bo Dang, and I lead the Qin family stronghold of the province of Yunnan." Aju replied, "Pleased to meet you. Pleased to meet you." Yao Bo Dang laughed. "You are just a little girl. Why would you be pleased to meet me?" Whoa, Jake, slow down. Thank you so much, though. Oops, you forgot how to stop a snow woman from coming into your house. How do you stop a Yuki Onna from coming into your house? I think you're supposed to not let her in, right? No? Yeah, if she comes in, then she'll suck your soul, or she'll suck your energy, your life force away from you. So you're not supposed to invite her in, a snow woman. You can never get over just how well documented these Chinese folktales. I don't think this is a folktale, right? This would be a novel. Yeah, this is a novel. Wang Yuyan said, the Qin family stronghold of Yunnan province is most famous for its 5 tigers shattering the gate saber technique. In the years after the elder Qin Gong Wang invented the 64 stances of this technique, his descendants forgot 5 of the stances. I hear that only 59 of the stances have been passed down. Stronghold Master Yao, how many stances have you learned? Yao Bodong, oh yeah, because she is very studied in martial arts, right? She knows like basically all of the martial arts. Yao Bodong was greatly astonished. He blurted out without thinking, "How is it that you know what that's the Qin family's 5 tigers shattering the gate saber technique originally had 64 stances?" Oh, I messed that up. Sorry. Wang Yuyan replied, "That's what the books say, so it probably isn't wrong, right? The 5 stances that you have lost are the stances White Tiger leaps over a ravine, birthing the wind with a roar, free-flowing chopping pounds, powerfully tyrannizing many mountains, and, right, that 5th stance is named Lion emerges from the appearance of defeat. Am I right?" Yao Bodang stroked his beard. He was aware that 5 of the most exquisite stances of his school of martial arts had become lost, but no one knew what the names of the techniques had been lost. Sentence. But no one knew what the names of the techniques which had been lost were. Now, hearing her speak with such certainty, he was both shocked and suspicious. He didn't know how to respond to her words. From the west side of the room, a 30-year-old man wearing white said in a deliberately strange voice, "Stronghold Master..." What is a strange voice? "Stronghold Master Yao is an important person with many matters to deal with. he has already forgotten the 5 stances, which the Qin family's 5 tigers shattering the gate technique is missing. Young miss, what relationship do you have with Mr. Murongbo? Wang Yuyan replied, Old Master Murong is my aunt's husband. Sir, what is your respected name and surname? That man smiled coldly. Miss, you are well learned, and are intimately familiar with Stronghold Master Yao's martial arts technique. I would like to invite you to guess what my own origin is. Wang Yuyan smiled. First, you need to demonstrate some of your abilities. I can't guess anything just based on a few words. That man nodded. True. He stretched his left hand into the sleeves of his right arm and did the opposite for his right hand, as though his hands were chilled by winter's cold. He immediately snapped his hands out. Each hand was holding a strange weapon. In his left hand, he was holding a metal awl, which was 6 or 7 inches long. The tip of the awl was split in 2. In his right hand, he wielded a small 8-faced mace. The shaft of the mace was over a foot long, and the head of the mace was smaller than most people's fists. Both weapons were small and exquisitely made, appearing almost as though they were children's toys. They seemed to be totally useless for actually fighting off opponents. As the men who sat at the east side of the room saw the weapons, some of them immediately began to laugh. One of them laughed. You're actually humiliating yourself by displaying the toys and baubles which Sichuanese babies play with. The people who sat at the west side all glared at him angrily. Wang Yuyan said, Right, this is the Thunder God's explosion. Sir, I imagine that you are an expert in Qinggong and hidden weapons. The books say that the Thunder God's explosion is the unique weaponry of Sichuan's Qingcheng sect, located on Mount Qingcheng. Hey, the Qingcheng sect. The same sect, the same evil sect that was in Smiling Proud Wanderer. Within the Qing character, there are 9. Within the Qing character, there are 9 attacks. Within the Cheng character, there are 18 destroying strokes. The strangeness and cunning of the techniques are difficult to fathom. Sir, I would like to guess that your surname is Sima, right? The entire time, the man's face was very somber, but upon hearing this girl say those words, he couldn't help but be shaken. He exchanged a few glances with 3 of his assistants that stood next to him. After a long time, the family said, What? After a long time, he said, Gusu's Murong family is well known for having a deep, broad, and profound understanding of martial arts. You really live up to your reputation. I am Sima Lin. Miss, might I ask you if there are truly 9 strikes within the Qing character and 18 destroying strokes within the Cheng character? Wang Yuyan replied, This is an extremely good question. In my opinion, it would be more appropriate to say that there are 10 strikes within the Qing character, although the Iron Bodhisattva strike and the Iron Lotus Seed strike seem superficially similar. They have totally separate usages and really shouldn't be mixed together. With regards to the 18 destroying strokes of the Chang character, it seems as though there is nothing particularly special or exquisite about the armor-destroying, shield-destroying, and tablet-destroying stances. It seems as though they were simply thrown in there to fill up the spaces needed for there to be a total of 18 stances, whereas in actuality they can be discarded or perhaps merged together, in which case there would be a total of 15 destroying strokes, or 16 destroying strokes, which would actually be more refined. So she's very familiar with their martial arts. Listening to her words, Sima Lin was struck dumb. He had only learned of 7 of the techniques within the Qing character, and knew nothing of the differences between the Iron Bodhisattva strike and the Iron Lotus Seed strike. In addition, the armor-destroying, shield-destroying, and tablet-destroying stances were the stances which he felt the most proud mastering about all his life, and which had always been considered a unique, consummate skill of his sect. He never would have imagined that this girl would say that they should be abolished. At first he was startled, then he was extremely angry. He thought to himself, "It's natural that the Murong family has long since known of my name and my martial arts. They want to humiliate me, and so have spun these lies and ordered this maiden to come here with scorching, humiliating words." He didn't immediately flare up. He only said, "Thank you for your advice, miss. I've suddenly seen the light." Immediately he turned to an assistant by his side and said, Apprentice brother Chu, why don't you ask this young miss for a few pointers?" His assistant, Ju Bao Kun, was an ugly man with a face full of pockmarks. He appeared to be somewhat older than Sima Lin. Aside from the white gown he wore, he also tied up his hair with a strip of white cloth, as though he were in mourning. Underneath the flickering light of the candle, he appeared very sinister and secretive. He rose to his feet, cupping his hands respectfully, then withdrew his weapons as well. He also withdrew a small mace and a short awl, both of which were identical to Sima Lin's Thunder God's explosion weapons. He said, "Miss, please advise me." All the onlookers thought to himself, all the onlookers thought to himself, "Your weapons are totally the same as that of Sima Lin. If this girl knows his martial arts, then obviously she knows yours as well." Wang Yuyan also said, "Sir, as you wield the Thunder God's explosion weapons, naturally you belong to the Qincheng sect as well." Sima Lin said, "This martial brother of mine already possessed some martial arts before entering our school. Miss, I'd like to test your wisdom and see if you can discover what sect he originally came from." He thought to himself, "Even I am not too sure about what the origins of my even I am not too sure about the origins of Brother Ju's martial arts. It'll be rather strange if you could." Wang Yuyan thought to herself, "This is a difficult question." Before she had a chance to say anything, the Qin family stronghold's Yao Bodang interjected. "Sect leader Sima, what's the point in having this young lady guess about the origins of your martial brother? Isn't this extremely uninteresting?" Astounded, Sima Lin said, "Why is this extremely uninteresting?" Yao Bodang laughed. "Your apprentice brother face is now filled with pockmarks, which seem to be meticulously carved into his skin. Thus, his true features can't be too exquisite to look at." Everyone on the western side of the room exploded into laughter. Okay, so it looks like these two groups are not in league with each other, which is good. All his life, the thing which Ju Bao Kun hated the most was others making fun of his pockmarked face. Now, hearing Yao Bodang so openly ridicule him, he could. A lot of typos. Now, hearing Yao Bodang so openly ridicule him, could he hold his temper? Without caring that Yao Bodang was a famous hero of the north and the master of a stronghold, he aimed the steel awl in his left hand towards Yao Bodang's chest and struck the awl with the steel mace in his right hand. A violent chi sound split the air with a sharp roar as a host of hidden weapons shot forth from the awl and towards Yao Bodang's chest. So let's see. Dun, dun, dun. So an awl is like a pick, right? So apparently he takes a mace and hits it, and then from inside the awl came a bunch of weapons that shot towards the dude. Pretty cool. Oh, wait a minute, Nikki. All definition. Sorry. I didn't see that. But that was the all. Where am I? So a violent chi sound split the air with a sharp roar as a host of hidden weapons shot forth from the all and towards Yao Bodang's chest. As soon as the Qin family stronghold and the Qin Cheng sect had entered the pavilion, they had taken each other's measure. Neither side offered any greetings to the other. They glared at each other and humphed at each other. In all likelihood, if Wang Yuyan and the others had not arrived, they would have gotten into a fight with each other by now. In insulting Zhu Baokun, Yao Bodang originally only wanted to tease him a little. He never would have imagined that the other party would attack so quickly. The secret weapons flew towards him with great haste. He didn't even have the time to draw out his saber. With his left hand, he snatched a candlestick, which lay on top of the table in front of him, then chopped at the hidden weapons. With a clanging sound, the hidden weapons were redirected upwards, and with a thudding sound, embedded themselves into the ceiling. Now they could be clearly seen. The hidden weapons were 3-inch-long steel needles. Although the needles were short, so he punches the all, and a bunch of little needles came out. Although the needles were short, the force behind them was tremendous. Yao Bodang's left hand went numb, and the candlestick slipped from his grasp. With a clanking sound, it hit the floor. The bandits of the Qin family stronghold pulled out their sabers. In a loud voice, they cried out, So you are using hidden weapons to harm others? What a valiant hero you are. Shameless! I'll fuck your grandmother hard. Wow. A very fat person was filled with the most obscenities, even cursing 18 generations worth of the other party's ancestors. But the people of the Qin Cheng sect only continued to sit there in that strange silence, as though neither seeing nor hearing the words from the Qin family stronghold. Earlier, when Yao Bodang snatched the candlestick to block the hidden weapons, he didn't have a very firm grip, but having his weapon being shaken from his hand by tiny steel needles, despite his decades of internal energy training, was, by the accepted rules of Wulin, a loss for him. He thought to himself, the opponent's martial arts are extremely strange. From what the young lady said, within the Qin Cheng sect's martial arts, the Qing character has 9 strikes, all of which are based upon hidden weaponry. If I'm not careful, I'm going to be in trouble. He immediately waved his arm and quieted the noisy calls of his subordinate. He laughed. Brother Zhu, this technique of yours was extremely handsome, but also extremely vicious. What is it called? Zhu Baokun let out a cold laugh, but did not respond. The fat man amongst the Qin family's stronghold said, most likely it is called no sense of shame or face, launching ambushes against others. Another middle-aged person laughed. He never had any face to begin with. The name you just gave is very good. It's quite appropriate and suits them. Clearly you are well learned and lettered. Well learned indeed. Within his words was hidden ridicule, directed once more to Zhu Baokun's pockmarks. Jake, it's a description of the bandits in the book. Sound like a devil will call them scum. Yes. Wang Yuyang shook her head. In a soft voice, she said, Stronghold Master Yao, now you are at fault. Yao Bodang said, How? It's possible for anyone to suffer an illness or be wounded. When a person is young and trips and falls, it's possible that his leg might become crippled. When fighting with others, it's possible to lose a hand or an eye. It's extremely ordinary for the people of Wulin to have wounds or scars on them. Am I right? Yao Bodang could only nod his head. Wang Yuyan continued, When he was young, Mr. Zhu, suffered from a foul disease which left him with some scars. Ah, smallpox, probably. What's so funny about it? In judging whether a male is a true stalwart man, the first thing to consider is his character and his moral quality. The second thing to consider is his ability and his competence. The third thing would be his learning and his martial arts abilities. What does his facial appearance have to do with anything? Yao Bodong was rendered speechless. He broke out in loud laughter, then said, There is some reason in your words, miss. By that logic, this old man is at fault for mocking Brother Zhu. Wang Yuyan laughed. Old master, for you to be able to freely admit to your mistakes shows that you are an upright, honest, and honorable man. She turned her face to Zhu Baokun, then shook her head and said, Won't do, that won't work. When she said these words, a gentle, tender, sympathizing look was on her face, as though she were an older sister who was watching her younger brother exhaust himself, trying to do something which he didn't have the strength to do. Her words were both admonishing and intimate. Zhu Baokun, upon hearing her say that it was very normal for people of the Wulin to have battle scars or wounds, that a man should be judged first and foremost by his character and his accomplishments, felt very happy. All his life he had been unhappy about his pockmarked face. He had never heard anyone address the issue so sincerely and reasonably. Now, hearing her say, won't do, that won't work, he asked, Miss, what do you mean? He thought to himself, is she saying that this needle technique of mine won't do and won't work? She doesn't know that there are 12 steel needles hidden within my awl. If I didn't stop and instead repeatedly struck it with my mace, I would have taken that old fellow's life a long time ago. Only I cannot reveal my secret in front of Sima Lin. Only to hear Wang Yuyan say, This Lord of Heaven replenishes the heart. Needle technique of yours truly is an overbearing technique. An overbearing hidden weapon technique. Zhu Baokun's body trembled. He let out a soft cry. Sima Lin and two other experts of Qincheng sect also let out a simultaneous shout of, What? The expression on Zhu Baokun's face changed, and he said, Miss, you are wrong. This was not the Lord of Heaven replenishes the heart needle technique. It is our Qincheng sect's hidden weaponry technique. The fourth strike within the Qing character, named the Green Hornet nail technique. Wang Yuyan smiled. It did appear as though you used the Green Hornet strike when you executed the Lord of Heaven replenishes the heart needle technique. The tools and techniques you used are the same as that of the Green Hornet hell technique, but the essential nature of hidden weaponry lies neither in the tools nor in the technique, but in the hidden weapons' force and power. Everyone uses steel needles, but the force which Shaolin disciples release is unique to Shaolin, and the force which the Kunlun sect releases is unique to Kunlun. This cannot be faked. Yours is... Suddenly, a murderous look filled Zhu Baokun's eyes. He suddenly raised the steel awl to his chest. All he needed to do was strike the awl with this mace, and the steel needles would instantly shoot towards Wang Yuyan. Half the people watching let out cries of alarm. Earlier, when he attacked Yao Bodong, his movements were very fast, and the power released was very strong. Very few hidden weapon techniques could compare to it. Obviously, there was an extremely powerful release mechanism hidden within the awl, as it was definitely impossible for any human force to create such an effect. Moreover, the tip of the awl was curved and split, making it difficult for others to believe that steel needles could shoot out from it. No one knew that the hollow cavity within the awl was straight. Fortunately, Yao Bodong was quick of the eye and fleet of hand, and thus managed to avoid disaster. If he released the hidden weapons towards Wang Yuyan, how could a beautiful, delicate woman such as her possibly avoid or dodge it? But seeing how beautiful and gentle she appeared, Zhu Baokun couldn't bear to kill her. In addition, he was still grateful for how she had argued on his behalf earlier. He shouted, "Miss, don't talk too much and bring disaster upon yourself." Just at this moment, so he has a secret that he wants to keep, and she was just about to reveal it. Just at this moment, a person rushed forward and placed himself in front of Wang Yuyan. It was Duan Yu. Wang Yuyan smiled. Ah, our hero. Good job, Duan Yu. Wang Yuyan smiled. "Young gentleman Duan, many thanks. Mr. Zhu, many thanks to you as well for not killing me. But even if you kill me, there's no point. The Qincheng sect and the Peng Lai sect have been enemies for generations. Your scheme was already tried over 80 years ago by your venerable sect's 7th sect leader, Hai Fengji. I'm afraid that his intelligence and martial arts is not one whit inferior to your own." Upon hearing these words, the gaze of every member present of the Qincheng sect turned towards Zhu Baokun. They mercilessly glared at him, all of them thinking to themselves, "Can it be that he is a member of our mortal enemy, the Peng Lai sect, who is in our sect undercover? How is it that he speaks with a Sichuanese accent and doesn't have the slightest trace of a Shandong accent?" So this guy was undercover, and she just revealed his cover. Whoops. All right. It's time for a break, you guys. Give me 5 minutes. All right. Be right back. 5-minute break. Bye. And we're back. Link to the song. All right. One sec. There you go. All right. Okay, so this Zhu Baokun guy, it turns out to be an undercover. Okay, and he's the enemy of this Qincheng sect. The eastern peninsula of the Shandong province was lorded over by the Peng Lai sect. Although they were located in the east, and Sichuan's Qincheng sect was located in the west, hundreds of years ago a bitter enmity was laid down by experts of their respective sects. From that time forth, each would make retaliatory attacks upon the other, committing many cruel and vicious revenge killings. Both sects possessed consummate martial arts techniques that could counter and restrain the other. In fact, the enmity laid down centuries ago was created by disagreements in a discussion on martial arts. After over 10 violent battles and killings, in the end, the Peng Lai sect was unable to defeat the Qincheng sect. But the Qincheng sect was also unable to overcome the Peng Lai sect. Every time the two came to battle, masters and experts from both sides would suffer wounds and often perish together, ending the battle in common ruin. So they've been at odds with each other for a long time. The Hai Feng Ji, which Wang Yuyang spoke of, was an outstanding talent within the Peng Lai sect. He carefully examined the strengths and weaknesses of the martial arts of both schools, knowing that although it would not be too hard for him to surpass the Qincheng sect based upon his own abilities, in the future, after he died and the Qincheng sect produced a wise and talented student of its own, the Qincheng would once more have surpassed his own sect. In order to finish the job once and for all, he sent his most talented disciple to sneak into the Qincheng sect and steal their martial arts. In this way, he would know himself and know his enemy, proving victorious in every battle. But his disciple had not fully mastered his martial arts and was discovered and executed by disciples of the Qincheng sect. After this, the enmity between the two groups became only deeper. as both sides began to guard against the other side stealing their secrets. Within these past few decades, the Qincheng sect set down a rule where they would not accept northerners as students. No students who spoke with any northern accents were accepted. Forget about having a Shandong accent. Even if the applicant had the slightest Hebei, Hunan, Shanxi, or Shanxi accent. Later on, the rules became even more rigid, and they began to only accept disciples from Sichuan alone. The Green Hornet nail technique was a hidden weapon technique unique to the Qincheng sect, whereas the Lord of Heaven replenishes the heart needle technique belonged to the Penglai sect. Zhu Baokun clearly used the Green Hornet nail technique, but Wang Yuyan continued to insist that he used the Lord of Heaven replenishes the heart needle technique. This caused everyone in the Qincheng sect to be filled with shock and dread. It must be known that the Penglai sect had a rule which was similar to that of the Qincheng sect. They would only accept disciples from Shandong. Moreover, the people from the eastern part of the Shandong were considered better. People from western Shandong or southern Shandong would find it extremely difficult to be allowed into the Penglai sect. Oh, your PFP is a lady wearing a purple top. It wouldn't be impossible for a person to put on a disguise and not reveal himself, but it would be extremely difficult for a person to change his manner of speaking so completely that in 1,000 words he wouldn't say a single word without a slightly strange accent. Zhu Baokun came from the Zhu family of the Guan county of Sichuan, a famous aristocratic family of western Sichuan. How could he be a disciple of the Penglai sect? Everyone present would never have imagined it in their wildest dreams. Earlier, when Sima Lin wanted Wang Yuyan to guess his origins, all he wanted to do was stump this girl with a tough riddle. He did not suspect Zhu Baokun at all. How could he have imagined that he would receive such a soul-shaking response? The person who was most startled of all was naturally Zhu Baokun himself. As it was, his original teacher was a Taoist priest named Du Lingji. In youth, Du Lingji had been greatly harmed by the Qincheng sect and incessantly schemed to revenge himself upon the Qincheng sect. He snuck around all of Sichuan, trying to find ways by which he could cause them harm. One year, he met the young Zhu Baokun at the Guan county. At this point, Zhu Baokun was still but a child, but showed an extremely good bone structure and had a very good foundation for learning martial arts. Thus, Du Lingzhi came up with a plot. He ordered people to disguise themselves as Jiangnan pirates and had them sneak into the Zhu family, tie up the family members, and then, after looting the place, prepare to rape the 2 daughters of the Zhu family and execute the rest. Du Lingzhi himself was outside the entire time. He waited until the critical moment and stepped forth bravely, chased away all the fake bandits, retrieved all of their belongings, and preserved the chastity of the 2 daughters of the Zhu family. The master of the Zhu family was naturally filled with boundless gratitude towards Du Lingzhi. Ah. The Taoist priest Du Lingzhi guy faked a robbery and rape attempt just to get the Zhu family to be on his side, right? And probably to give him their son. Du Lingzhi deliberately provoked him, saying, if one does not possess first-class martial arts, no matter how rich you are, you can still be bullied by robbers and bandits. This group of bandits possess some decent abilities. They've been beaten off today, but it is likely that they will come back for another try some other day. The Zhu family was an extremely powerful and well-known aristocratic family in the area. Before the master's very eyes, the guards and martial arts The guards and martial arts instructors he had invited were knocked down with 3 punches and 2 kicks. Now, hearing that the bandits would come back again soon, he was so frightened that his soul almost left him, and he begged Du Lingzi to stay. Du Lingzi insincerely refused for a while, then reluctantly agreed to stay. After a short period of time had passed, he managed to convince Zhu Baokun to kowtow to him as his disciple. Aside from his single-minded enmity towards the Qincheng sect, Du Lingzi himself was not really a bad person and possessed extremely capable martial arts. He exhorted the Zhu family to carefully guard the secret of his presence and secretly taught Zhu Baokun martial arts. After 10 years or so, Zhu Baokun became one of the most outstanding individuals within the Peng Lai sect. This Du Lingzi fellow really was patient. After settling down in the Zhu family household, he immediately disguised himself as a mute person. From beginning to end, he did not say a single word to a single person. When teaching Zhu Baokun martial arts, he would only demonstrate the techniques, using his hands and feet, or manually write down the instructions for Zhu Baokun to read. He wouldn't say a single word or reveal his Shandong accent. Thus, although Zhu Baokun had associated with him for over 10 years, he had never heard a single word spoken with the Shandong accent. This guy played the long game. After Zhu Baokun fully completed his martial arts training, Du Lingzi wrote down the entire ins and outs of the situation and told his student to act as he saw fit. Although he naturally left out the part where he had people dress up as robbers to attack the Zhu family. In Zhu Baokun's heart, not only had his master saved his entire family, over the past 10 years his master had treated him with great benevolence and kindness, passing down to him all of the Peng Lai sect's martial arts techniques. He had long since felt boundless gratitude towards his master, and once he understood what his master wanted, he didn't hesitate in the slightest. He immediately headed towards Mount Qingcheng, putting himself under the tutelage of the Qincheng sect's then leader, Sima Wei. Sima Wei was Sima Linzi's father. At this point in time, Zhu Baokun was no longer a child, and moreover declared himself as having learned some low-level martial arts from the guards, which his family had hired. At first, Sima Wei was unwilling to accept him, but the Zhu family was a very rich family in western Sichuan, possessing both wealth and power. Although the Qincheng sect belonged to the martial world, in the end they were still located in Sichuan. They were unwilling to become estranged from the powerful and wealthy local noble clans. In addition, accepting a member of the Zhu family as a disciple would only enhance their sect's prestige. Thus, Sima Wei agreed in the end. While teaching him their skills, they found that Zhu Baokun already possessed quite impressive martial arts, but whenever they tried to question him, Zhu Baokun, in accordance with what his master Du Lingzi had taught him to do, would make up something and throw them off. Sima Wei, wanting to give his father some face, did not pursue the matter too much. He thought to himself that for a scion of a rich family to reach such a level of martial arts was already very difficult. After entering the Qincheng sect, Zhu Baokun focused on a specific number of martial arts techniques as instructed by Du Lingzi. On New Year's Day and during other festivals, he gave very lavish gifts to his master and his fellow apprentices. Whenever his master needed anything done, he wouldn't wait for any actual requests to be made before perfectly fulfilling his master's wants. After all, his family had plenty of money, which made these things easy. Sima Wei always felt rather awkward about this, and thus poured his energy into teaching Zhu Baokun martial arts, holding nothing back and keeping nothing hidden. Thus, within 7 or 8 years, Zhu Baokun had learned the ultimate skills of the Qincheng sect. 3 or 4 years ago, Du Lingzi had originally ordered Zhu Baokun to go to Mount Peng Lai and display the martial arts of the Qincheng sect. with the aim of overturning the Qincheng sect with this knowledge. But after staying with the Qincheng sect for so many years, Zhu Baokun felt that Sima Wei treated him very well. When teaching him martial arts, Sima Wei treated him as though he were his own son. Zhu Baokun could not bear the thought of him personally causing the destruction of the Qincheng sect and slaughtering Sima Wei's entire family. That's the trouble. That's the problem with undercover agents, right? Like they may turn on you, so they may be a double agent. He secretly decided, I cannot make my move until after Master Sima Wei passes away. Martial brother Sima Lin's treatment of me is nothing special. It's no big deal if I kill him. Thus he delayed for a few years. Du Lingzi tried to hasten him several times, but each time Zhu Baokun would reply that he had not fully learned the 9 strikes of the Qing character and the 18 destroying strokes of the Cheng character. After having expended so much blood and sweat on this scheme, he was unwilling to fail to build a mound for the lack of one last pail of dirt. He only exhorted Zhu Baokun to learn the secrets as quickly as possible so that they could launch an attack. However, during the past winter, Sima Wei was killed within the eastern Sichuan city of Baidi by enemies who used Qincheng sect's own moon-destroying all technique of the 18 destroying strokes of the Cheng character. The moon-destroying all technique pierced through Sima Wei's ear, driving through his brain and causing his death. Although the moon-destroying all technique had the word all in its name, in actuality it did not use an all. Instead, the practitioner would form his fingers into a claw, then use profound internal energy to drive the claw through the opponent's ear. Oh my god. Sima Lin and Zhu Baokun were in Chengdu when they received this news. They rushed to Baidi overnight. After discovering how Sima Wei died, the two of them were both sorrowful and afraid. They all thought to themselves that within the Qincheng sect, aside from Sima Wei himself, only Sima Lin, Zhu Baokun, and 2 other venerable experts could use the moon-destroying all technique. But when this calamity happened, all 4 of them were clearly in Chengdu, as they were together during that period of time. None of them could suspect each other. Thus, aside from the famous family which would use the opponent's skills, exercising them Thus, aside from the famous family which would use the opponent's skills, exercising them upon the opponent, that being Gusu's Murong family, no one else could have killed him. The Qincheng sect immediately turned out in full force, gathering all of their experts and going to Gusu, intending to exact revenge upon the Murong family. They kind of jumped to conclusions, right? Like, maybe it could have been, or it could be another person who learned that technique. Have I heard of these techniques? No. Nope, not at all. Before heading out, Zhu Baokun secretly asked Du Lingzi if it was the Peng Lai sect which did the deed. Du Lingzi wrote, Sima Lin's level of martial arts is very close to that of my own. If I were to kill him, I would have to use the Lord of Heaven replenishes the heart technique to kill him. If a group of people were to besiege him, they would have to use our iron crutch formation. Zhu Baokun thought to himself that this made sense. By now, he was fully aware that neither of his 2 masters was inferior to the other in martial arts. When it comes to using the moon-destroying all to kill Sima Wei, not only did Du Lingzi not know this technique, even if he knew it, his proficiency in it couldn't possibly be superior to Sima Wei's. With no more doubt in his mind, he came with Sima Lin to Jiannan to seek revenge. Du Lingzi did not try to obstruct him, only telling him to be careful. He was to keep his eyes and ears open, but not to throw away his life on behalf of the Qincheng sect. Like, they're jumping to conclusions, right? It could be some other person who learned that technique. Doesn't mean it had to be the Murong family. After arriving in Suzhou, they sent people inquiring all over the place. It was only with great difficulty that they arrived at the water pavilion of fragrant sounds. The Qin family stronghold of Yunnan had arrived just before them. The rules of the Qincheng sect were extremely rigid. Without the sect leaders' permission, no one dared to rashly say or do anything. Seeing how unorthodox and wild the people of the Qin family stronghold were, they felt contempt towards them in their heart. Thus, both sides spoke very insultingly towards each other. The Qincheng sect had come on a mission of revenge, and thus did not disturb a single blade of grass, and ate only the food they themselves had brought. They actually got something good out of this, as none of the members of the Qincheng sect tasted old Gu's snot, saliva, or the mud from his hands. After Wang Yuyan and the other three had arrived, strange things started to happen. When Zhu Baokun used the Qincheng sect's Green Hornet nail technique to shoot out the steel needles in the past, not even Sima Wei would be suspicious in the slightest. He never could have imagined that this little girl, Wang Yuyan, would expose the truth of the matter in a single sentence. Zhu Baokun did not manage to act quickly enough to silence her. Still remembering her kind words from earlier, he hesitated but for a moment and lost the opportunity. In addition, Sima Lin and the others had already heard the words Lord of Heaven replenishing the heart. Even if he killed Wang Yuyan, it would only serve to make him look all the more treacherous and wicked. At this moment, Zhu Baokun's mind was thrown in confusion, and cold sweat began to drip from his head. Turning around, he saw that Sima Lin and the others all had their hands folded within their sleeves and were staring at him with fierce glares. Sima Lin icily said, "Mr. Zhu, so you belong to the Peng Lai sect?" He no longer addressed Zhu Baokun as martial brother, instead calling him Mr. Zhu. Clearly, he no longer considered him as being part of the same school. Green Hornet technique? True. Zhu Baokun could neither admit to it nor deny it. An extremely awkward look was on his face. Sima Lin's eyes opened wide, and he glared at Zhu Baokun. "You came to the Qincheng sect to steal our skills, then, after learning the moon destroying all, used it to murder my father. You brutal, unscrupulous, cold-blooded cur! You are far too vile." Sweeping his arms from his sleeves, he withdrew the Thunder God's explosion from his sleeves. He thought to himself that after Zhu Baokun had learned their martial arts, he must have taught it to the masters of the Peng Lai sect. Although Zhu Baokun was in Chengdu when his father died, after the Peng Lai sect's experts learned this technique, any of them could have killed his father. Zhu Baokun's face was ashen. He thought to himself that although it was true that his master, Du Lingzi, had sent him into the Qincheng sect with this intention, to date he had not divulged a single secret of the Qincheng sect. But with the situation having reached this point, how could he possibly explain? It seemed that a violent battle was about to occur. The enemy had more people and a stronger force. The skills of Sima Lin and the two other experts were not one whit inferior to his own. Today, it seemed as though he was about to lose his life. He thought to himself, "Although I did not do this, I did have the intention of betraying my master. Even if I am killed by the Qincheng sect, it would be no more than receiving just punishment for my deeds." He immediately hardened his heart, then said, "Our master definitely was not harmed by me." Jake, chill. Thank you, you're so generous. Oh my god. So what happens if you get stranded on the island of beautiful women? Should you panic and try to get off as soon as possible before they eat you? Well, once you're stranded, I think you're screwed. You're kind of screwed. So you should just enjoy it. Is my recommendation. You can't get off the island, so what are you gonna do? Sima Lin shouted, "Naturally, you yourself did not do the deed, but you taught the technique to the person who did. What's the difference between this and you personally killing him?" He said to the two tall, thin old men by his side. "Martial uncles, Jiang and Meng, when dealing with traitors like this, there's no need for us to adhere to the martial world's rules of one-on-one duels. Let's fight them together. Let's fight him together." The two old men nodded and withdrew their hands from their sleeves. They too were wielding the Thunder Gods' explosion weapons. Jake is the sponsor for today's stream. You kinda are. Kinda are. Ju Bao-kun took a few steps back. Sing Jake a song? Nope. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Ju Bao-kun took a few steps back, resting his back against one of the room's pillars to prevent himself from being encircled. Sima Lin loudly cried, "Kill this traitor and avenge my father!" Wow, this whole thing happened, and our heroes are just standing there watching like, what the hell? What's going on? He charged forward, lifting his mace and delivering a powerful blow towards the top of Ju Bao-kun's skull. Ju Bao-kun sidestepped and let the blow pass by him, then countered with an awl strike. The old man, surnamed Jiang, shouted, "You are a fine fellow, you traitor! You still have the stones to use the martial arts technique of our sect!" With his left hand, he struck out with the awl towards Ju Bao-kun's throat, while with his right hand he struck out with his mace 3 times, using the phoenix nodding technique. The followers of the Qin family stronghold saw that the old man, surnamed Jiang, wielded the mace with superb skill, and that his techniques were extremely strange. All of them were extremely intrigued. Yao Bodang and the others secretly nodded, thinking to themselves, "The fame of the Qincheng sect shakes western Sichuan. It looks like this isn't due to luck." Sima Lin was impatient in desiring to avenge his father, and thus his attacks were too rash and hasty. Ju Bao-kun was consequently able to defend against them, but the two old men generated their internal energy, executing their attacks in accordance with the 4 critical points of the Qincheng style: steady, ruthless, secret, and fierce. Their awls pierced and their maces struck, with each blow directed towards his vital points. Ju Bao-kun was besieged on all sides and was instantly surrounded by danger. Which school is the Peng Lai sect part of? They're their own school, right? The Peng Lai school? No? Ju Bao-kun knew, by heart, all of the mace and awl techniques which the 3 men were employing. After seeing each stance, he would be able to guess what the next 3 or 4 stances would be. This was the only reason why he was able to hold out against the 3 of them at the same time without being defeated. After 10 or more stances, he felt sourness in his heart. He secretly thought to himself, "Master Sima truly treated me extremely well. I know every single one of these techniques which Sima Lin and these 2 martial uncles are using." When teaching someone about the weak points in one's own techniques, it's very easy and common for the teacher to intentionally hold things back and not teach the student the most important points. At this critical life and death juncture, the 3 of them are naturally holding nothing back and going all out. It seems I really have been taught everything that he knew about Qincheng sect's martial arts. His heart swelling with feelings of gratitude and indebtedness towards his master, he couldn't help but cry out, "I definitely did not cause my master's death!" With his thoughts going astray, Sima Lin rushed forward and was now only a few feet away from him. Qincheng sect's weapons were all short, and thus they were naturally most deadly when used in close hand-to-hand combat. If Sima Lin was fighting a member of any other sect, when he charged in, he would have gained a 70 or 80% chance of winning. But since Zhu Baokun knew the same martial arts as he did, neither of them gained an advantage. Beneath the flickering candlelight, everyone present felt as though their vision was blurring. All they could see was that both Sima Lin and Zhu Baokun executed their stances very quickly, their hands weaving and waving about. In the blink of an eye, they had each executed 7 or 8 stances. The steel awls pierced upwards and jabbed downwards, while the steel maces struck horizontally and smashed vertically downwards. It was as though both of them had gone insane. But each of them was so familiar with the other's techniques that whenever one of them executed an attack, the counterattack came to the other as naturally as breathing. They had been instructed by the same teacher, and thus their techniques and styles were identical. Sima Li was young and strong, but Zhu Baokun possessed an abundance of varied experiences. In a short period of time, tens of stances had been exchanged. The onlookers could hear the clinking and clanging sounds as their weapons clashed, but could no longer tell what attacks and defenses each were using. The two elders, seeing that Sima Li was unable to achieve victory despite a long battle, suddenly let out a sharp whistle, then rolled on the floor towards them, attacking Zhu Baokun's lower extremities. Most of the people who used short weapons, save for females, knew various rolling and jumping techniques, which would cause the opponent to be uncertain as to how to respond. Zhu Baokun, too, was originally very familiar with this attack of theirs, known as the Demi-Gods' Earth Explosion. But with his hands occupied defending against Sima Li's awl and mace, he had nothing left to guard against the two elders. All he could do was run around and try to dodge or jump away. Elder Jiang's steel mace struck at him from the left, while Elder Meng's awl stabbed from the right. Zhu Baokun leapt up and delivered a flying kick to Elder Meng's lower jaw. Elder Meng cursed, "Son of a tortoise! So you are going all out?" Well, of course, you're trying to kill him. He dodged to the side. Elder Jiang charged forwards, delivering a sweeping attack with his mace, just as Sima Lin's mace struck towards Zhu Baokun's forehead. Caught between a rock and a hard place, Zhu Baokun had to choose between the lesser of two evils. Lifting his weapon, he blocked Sima Lin's attack, while receiving a stiff blow to his left leg from Elder Jiang's mace. Although the mace was small, the crushing force of its blows was very formidable. Zhu Baokun felt the pain in the very marrow of his bones. For the moment, he couldn't even be sure as to whether or not his leg bone was already snapped. With a clanging sound, two maces met, and sparks exploded. He then let out a cry as Elder Meng's awl pierced his left leg as well. No, he's losing. He was actually capable of dodging this strike, but if he had done so, the Demi-Gods' Earth Explosion technique, which the two elders were using, would have united and transformed into the Earth Goddess's Thunderweb attack, which he would have been unable to resist. Since his left leg might already be broken, he might as well just let it receive some more punishment. Within a few more strokes, bright blood began to splash from his leg, spraying red dots all across the walls. Wang Yuyan saw Aju crease her forehead and pucker her lips in a frown. She knew that Aju hated watching this bunch of people battle against each other here and dirty her clean and tidy house. Smiling, she called out, "Hey, stop fighting. If you have problems, let's talk them out. Why be so Why be so unreasonable?" Sima Lin and the others wanted to execute the evil traitor who murdered their master on the spot. Zhu Baokun was willing to stop fighting, but how could he? Seeing how the four of them continued to fight violently and ignore her words, and how it was primarily Sima Lin and the two elders who kept the fight going, she said, "All of you, stop fighting." Sima Lin roared back. I will not live under the same sky with the man who murdered my father. How can I not avenge him? What are you babbling about? If you don't stop, I'm going to help him. Sima Lin's heart went cold. He thought to himself, this beautiful girl sees very clearly and thoroughly. I imagine her martial arts skills are excellent as well. If she helps the other side, things could get a bit troublesome. Then he thought, with so many experts of our Qincheng sect here, if push comes to shove, we can mob them. Can it be that we'll all be defeated by such a delicate-looking girl? He added more force to his blows, pelting vicious blows towards Zhu Baokun, like the beating of the rain again, or the raging of the wind. Wang Yuyan said, Mr. Zhu, first use the force of Li Cunxiao striking the tiger, then use Zhang Guolao riding the donkey backwards. Zhu Baokun was startled. He thought to himself, the first stance belongs to the Qincheng sect, but the second comes from the Peng Lai sect. These two definitely cannot be mixed together. How can I use them in succession? But right now, the situation was critical. How could he have the time to ponder in depth? He executed the force of Li Cunxiao striking the tiger technique, and with a pair of deng sounds, just managed to block two mace blows from Sima Lin and Elder Jiang. Following this, he turned around and took 3 crooked steps backwards, each step taken precisely before an ambushing all attack by Elder Jiang. This stance, which Elder Jiang used, was a combination attack, using both the mace and the awl, with 3 strikes in total. So they're fighting, and she's yelling out techniques for him to use. Right? It was extremely sinister and vicious. Each step Zhu Baokun took, he staggered as though he were drunk, and the execution was totally unorthodox. But at the most critical moment of each attack, he managed to avoid the opponent's ruthless strikes. It was as though the two of them had practiced this in advance and were now showing off their abilities. These 3 ambushing strikes were extremely ingenious, and the dodges were even more exquisite. All of the members of the Qin family's stronghold watching were rapt and breathless. After every dodge, they let out an exclamation in unison, and by the time all 3 attacks were dodged, they had let out 3 mighty shouts. The faces of the disciples of the Qincheng sect were all very gloomy to begin with, but now they looked all the more terrible to behold. Guan Yu shouted out, Wonderful, wonderful! Brother Zhu, whatever Miss Wang tells you to do, do it! I promise you won't lose out by doing so. When Zhu Baokun executed his Zhang Guolao riding the donkey backwards technique, he had no idea what the results might be. His head was filled with a murky fog, and he felt that life and death were the same, and had long since cast away any hopes of living. He didn't imagine that these 2 techniques from the Qincheng sect and the Peng Lai sect could actually be executed together and allow him to evade those 3 vicious blows. The panic in his heart was far greater than even that of the members of the Qin family's stronghold or the members of the Qincheng sect. He heard Wang Yuyan call out, First execute Han Xiangji embraces the snow of the Blue Gate, then execute the crooked path opens to the Netherworld. The first technique belonged to the Peng Lai sect, and the second to the Qincheng sect. Without even thinking, Zhu Baokun drew a circle in front of him, using his mace and his awl in a defensive sealing movement. Just at this moment, Sima Lin and Elder Meng thrust at him with their awls. The 3 of them had actually executed their attacks at the same time, but in the eyes of outsiders, it seemed as though Zhu Baokun had completed his defensive movement first, while Sima Lin and Elder Meng, despite seeing his defensive movement and finding no flaws in his defense, still insisted on using a large amount of energy in a useless attack. Their 2 awls connected with his mace, and with a clanging sound, the 2 awls were flicked aside. Zhu Baokun didn't hesitate at all, and immediately stooped down and launched a backwards piercing strike with his awl. So she's really good at martial arts, right? She can So apparently, it looks like she can anticipate these two elders' attacks before they even make them. Thanks so much, Drifter Dono. I really appreciate it. I really, truly appreciate it. You're an awesome person. Zhu Baokun didn't hesitate. Elder Jiang was just about to strike him from behind. He never imagined that Zhu Baokun's all would strike at him at this moment, from this angle. The crooked path opens to the netherworld technique belonged to the Qincheng sect, and Elder Jiang knew it by heart. Using the attack in such a manner was totally antithetical to the basic principles of the Qincheng sect martial arts. If Zhu Baokun, while practicing martial arts, had normally executed the technique in such a way, Elder Jiang would have burst into loud laughter. But by using such an unreasonable attack, Elder Jiang was put into a position where he was about to commit suicide as he was rushing forwards with his body in line with the tip of the awl. He knew that he was in a disastrous position, but couldn't retract his charging force in time. With a puffing sound, the awl pierced into his waist. His body swayed, and he fell to the floor. Two disciples of the Qincheng sect ran forwards, grabbed him, then carried him away. Sima Lin cursed. Zhu Baokun, you son of a turtle! You just hurt Martial Uncle Jiang with your own hands! You can't claim this is false as well, right? Wang Yuyan said, I told him to hurt Elder Jiang. Please, stay your hands. Sima Lin angrily said, if you are really so capable, tell him how to kill me. Tell him how to kill me. Wang Yuyan smiled. Mr. Zhu, first use the technique Iron Crutch Li passes through a tunnel into the front yard beneath the moon. Well, this is a long technique. Iron Crutched Li passes through a tunnel into the front yard beneath the moon. Then use the technique Iron Crutch Li discusses the way in a jade cavern. Zhu Baokun replied, yes, he thought to himself. Within the Peng Lai sect's martial arts technique, there are only the stances Lu Chunyang passes through a tunnel into the front yard beneath the moon, and Han Zhongli discusses the way in a jade cavern. How did Iron Crutched Li get mixed up into this? Most likely, this girl's understanding of our school's martial arts technique still has its limits, and she misspoke. But at this critical moment, Sima Lin and Elder Meng definitely would not give him the chance to ask her to clarify. All he could do was use his normal techniques and execute. Lu Chunyang passes through a tunnel, blah 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 blah. This technique, passing through a tunnel into the front yard beneath the moon, was originally meant to be executed by taking a large step forward, and was possessed of natural grace and elegance, as though someone were flying through the air. But after his left leg received 2 serious wounds, when he took a large step, he was limping. How could he appear to be like Lu Chunyang? He looked 100% like Iron Crutched Li. But even though he was forced to limp forwards, he still received a great advantage from this motion. The 2 awl strikes which Sima Lin had just struck out with hit nothing but the air. Next, when he executed the Han Zhongli discusses the way in a jade cavern technique, his left leg was still limping, and his entire body was inclined towards the left. He used the mace in his right hand as a fan, sweeping it across his body. Just at this moment, Elder Meng's head came into contact with his mace. With a clapping sound, the mace hit him right in the mouth. 10 of his teeth were immediately knocked out of his mouth and fell to the floor. It was so painful that he yelled and jumped up like a madman. He threw away his weapons, pressing both hands to his mouth as he sat down on the floor. Sima Lin was secretly shocked, but for the moment didn't know what to do. Should he continue to fight, or temporarily withdraw and gain his revenge another day? The 2 techniques which Wang Yuyan had instructed Zhu Baokun to use were simply too miraculous. She had calculated that after those 3 earlier techniques, elder Meng would charge towards Zhu Baokun's right-hand side. When Zhu Baokun struck out with his hammer at that moment, it was perfectly aligned with elder Meng's mouth. Since Zhu Baokun's leg was crippled, Han Zhongli discusses the way in the Jade Cavern, turned into Iron Crutch Li discusses the way, and the mace struck out at an angle. If he hadn't been crippled and the mace came out normally, it would have missed by a few inches. Her calculations were extremely ingenious, and her predictions of the opponent's actions were very accurate. It truly was shocking and astonishing. Sima Lin thought to himself, if I want to kill Zhu Baokun, this son of a turtle, first I'll need to think of a way to shut this girl's mouth and keep her from giving him advice. But just as he was trying to think of a strategy by which he could harm Wang Yuyan, he heard her say, Mr. Zhu, you are a disciple of the Peng Lai sect. For you to deceive your way into the Qinchang sect in order to steal their martial arts is extremely inappropriate. However, I do believe that you were not the one who harmed the old master, Sima Wei. Based on your level of martial arts, even if you taught another expert the skills of the Qinchang sect, he definitely would not be able to use the moon-destroying all technique to kill old master Sima Wei. But you are still to blame for stealing other people's martial arts secrets. Quick, go apologize to sect leader Sima, and we'll consider this matter settled. I think we're gonna stop. This is a good place to stop, no? We're halfway through. How are you guys doing? Huh? How you doing? I'm reading too much. Did you guys like that chapter? A lot of fighting. But it shows that Wang Yuyan is really good with martial arts. And she knows all of the martial arts, apparently. You thought I was going to read one of my fan fictions next? How do you know I have fan fiction? You just listened to Storytime and painted? Oh, you're a painter? That's awesome. You vote for me to read fan fiction? What kind of fan fiction? There are a lot of questionable fan fiction out there. Let me tell you. Yeah, this was a long one. This was a very long one. I think we're good. We can pick it up next week, all right? Also, thanks to Jack. Oh, sorry. Thanks to Jake. Thanks so much, Jake. You're an awesome person. You're the MVP of today. Also, Drifter Dono. That's awesome, dude. Thanks so much. Read Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Oh my god. I didn't really get into it. So I read Romance of the Three Kingdoms a long time ago. Or tried to read. Oh, wait. Hold on. 1 second. Cheers, guys. I tried to read Romance of the Three Kingdoms a long time ago. The Vietnamese translation. Alright. It was cool, but there were just way too many characters. There's way too many characters to keep track of. I couldn't keep track of them. Yeah, maybe I was young and I was a kid. I didn't know anything. I couldn't keep track of them, and then also, like, you would get introduced to a character, and then the next page, they would die, or you would get introduced to a character, and the next in 2 pages later, they die. And you're like, wait, why did you introduce me to this character that just died? Why? Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, so I didn't finish it. I read like a couple of chapters. There's a Romance of the Three Kingdoms podcast out there by John Ju. Okay. Maybe I'll listen to that. How long is it? Must be really long. Sounds like Game of Thrones. It's very Game of Thrones-esque. Yeah. It's very long. It's very long. Right? There's a lot of characters. Which, I mean, it makes sense. Since it's like a history kind of book, right? Yeah, there would be there. It makes sense that there would be a lot of characters. All right, guys. My voice is kind of going, getting lost. Jake, Jake, Jake. What are you doing? What are you doing? Thank you, man. Thank you so much. What is Sun Wukong doing at this time? Yeah, what is he doing? Where is he? Probably in heaven somewhere, causing havoc. Anyways, all right, guys. I'll see you next time. Cheers. Thanks for joining. I love you. And I'll see you next week. Bye.